welcome everybody to this special edition of Week in Review. You know, being summer, there's lots of travel, vacations, people going to music festivals. I'm going to one, and I wanted to set this up for you. I used to be in a band called the Lost Souls. This was our album, and here's our record. And in Cleveland, you know, the home of the Cleveland, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we were a band that was there with, there was a group called James Gang with Joe Walsh. He was in Eagles, maybe you remember, Eric Carmen. You know, I've had the time of my life, and the Raspberries. Well, I was enmeshed in music. And I was, as our band was called, the Lost Souls. I was a lost soul. But you know what? Somebody took initiative and planted a seed of the gospel. I didn't respond right away. But you know what? I have a buddy out in California. He was at a concert. And somebody shared with him at this concert. And you know what? Planted a seed. He exited this concert with a group called Deep Purple. Well, that young man was converted shortly thereafter. Cheon, who's now one of the premier leaders out in California right now, and actually went to the Supreme Court and took Gavin Newsom to the Supreme Court. So I go to a music festival today called Bonnaroo. 80,000 young people, 20,000 staff. This is 100,000 people. You talk of the fields are white unto harvest, and you interact, you talk. And you know, one of the things I've encouraged people to do is when you go to something like this, have your personal testimony track. And that's what I'll do. I'll engage people, talk with people, and I trust I'll plant seeds. So I want to encourage you. If you haven't yet heard the 5 free, they're right on YouTube videos called Loving Lifestyle Evangelism, go there. And so you're equipped, because Jesus said the fields are white unto harvest. Don't say 4 months and then comes the harvest. Jesus said, pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into the harvest. So I'm going. Next week it's going to be the Gay Pride event. Masses of people engaging, talking, and planting seeds. I encourage you to do likewise. Check out those videos. Now watch. Here's a little glimpse of 100,000 at Bonnaroo. Jerry Bryant, you are in a tent praying a Father's blessing. What's that all about? Why do you do that at Bonnaroo? What is it?
Well, you know, the Father's blessing is scriptural. Actually, the only place that God ever really commanded a blessing was in the Word. You know, we see the example through Abraham when he blessed his sons. There's so many examples. And so since, I guess, 777 at the call, we put up a tent and we just had hundreds of people come through that never received from above a Father's blessing. And then also, maybe even an earthly blessing from their Father. And you know, when we did that, by the Spirit, of course, people just, they were overcome with the effect, the emotions that were released, because they'd always wanted to be blessed. And you know, opposite of blessing is cursing. And so, in truth, they had been cursed because they hadn't been nurtured, and that's how the enemy works against the family. He removes the father's blessing, and then the child doesn't know his identity. That's supposed to be imparted by the father. And so when we take that and reverse that, it's amazing how people then come alive and find their identity again, or maybe for the first time maybe, and all of the things God's promised them begin to unfold in their lives.
So I'm Kim, Madison, and Grayson. We are from Athens, Georgia. And so this morning, before we came together to come out to the tent, we were praying in our RV and just talking, just having conversation over a cup of coffee about evangelism and the purpose of the church of getting out and sharing the gospel, that there's one thing, love and compassion of people. And so we were just kind of sharing ideas, and then Mr. Larry gets in our van and confirms every word that we said, that you start with love, you start with compassion, relationship.
Hey friends, this is Al at Bonnaroo at the Love Reach tent, ministering yesterday. A group of our evangelists were ministering yesterday, and they ran across a young man, and they asked if he needed prayer, and he said, "Oh, please pray for me." And through the course of the dialogue, he wasn't a Christian, and he prayed to receive Jesus. And friends, he said this, he said, "My mother's not going to believe I came to Bonnaroo and found Jesus." Well, one of the young ladies on the team, out of a YWAM team member, said, "Oh, She will, because I videoed it and I just sent it to you by text. So friends, God is alive and moving. Thank you for praying and supporting. Blessings.
I'm from Nashville. That's my home, and my life changed at 21. And that's where I finally fully surrendered my life to Jesus. I said a prayer at 7, but it wasn't really authentic. It was just a prayer. And at 21, I was going to be proposing to my girlfriend at the time, and there was a lot of heartbreak. It all fell apart. But that's when I ran to Jesus and said, Jesus, you haven't been my everything. And so I gave him all of my heart, and depression and suicidal thoughts and anxiety and all these sexual addictions began to leave my life, and I've become more in love with him every day, and it's amazing, and Jesus is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I was born and raised in a Christian family, but I encountered Jesus when I was 9 years old. I was 9 years old, and my dad told me a small story of the gospel, and then I gave my life to Jesus. And since then, my testimony is I've never ever felt lonely ever in my life, and I've never been lonely, and the Lord has been with me all the time. And we're here in Bonnaroo. It's so amazing. We got so many people saved yesterday. They encountered Jesus. Even this morning, 2 people gave their lives to Jesus. And
So Jerry, even at Bonnaroo, you're talking unbelievers, people that don't know Jesus. Are they being prayed for? They come to you and the tent?
Well, you know, they're in a vulnerable moment. They're not expecting anything. They offer them a bottle of water and say, come on over. Have you ever heard of a Father's blessing? What's that? They said. Well, the next thing I know, I said, well, let me demonstrate. They close their eyes and they start to cry. And they said, nobody has ever done that at all in my life. And sometimes they don't make it to the concert. They come in and hear the gospel. They get baptized in the horse trough. And lives are transformed because the Father wants to bless every single one of them.
We saw a person's spine straighten and get healed last night. We had multiple healings, other salvations, but I'll update Larry on those and we'll get back with you.
Are there going to be baptisms here, do you think?
100%. We will baptize. We got a baptistry set up, ready to go.
And let me ask you this. You're in charge of this because the main guy that has done this, his mother-in-law passed away and you took it up. Why are you here? I mean, it's hot weather and you know, Bonnaroo with tens of thousands. Why do you bother with it? Why don't you just stay home and study the Word? Why are you here?
Larry, it's real simple. The Word says they're like sheep without a shepherd. That means they're being filleted. So we have a generation, the devil is filleting out here, friends, and we got to stop it. That's why we're here.
Wow. And why are you here, bro? Why all this? It's heat, it's bad weather, and everything. Why?
I love Jesus, and I just felt to come. I'm just, you know, there's so many people here that are feeling depressed or feeling sad. They're just covering it up with drugs, sex, and just music. And so I get to hopefully shed some love and the love of God and the light of that He wants to come and transform their life and encounter them, even a place here that some wouldn't come. And so I'm just thankful to hopefully just love on people through His love and share the gospel with everyone I meet.
I want you to know we got severe weather coming. I was at a music festival once and a tornado was coming and we had to pray and that thing did a turnaround with tens of thousands and went the other way. Now you tell me this, what is this? Why is this happening? Do you think the devil wants people hearing the gospel? I'll tell you this, but we are standing strong in faith, we're believing God, and we're not going to relent. Man, I'll tell you, these are exciting days to be alive. And Jesus said, pray the Lord of the harvest, send out the laborers. So bad weather or not, pray, evangelize, and please stand strong as an evangelist for Jesus in this critical time of history. All right, you got it.